And I will be talking about the link between farm diversification and dairy diversification and the data from the panel based on IFRI, Bangladesh Integrated Household Survey, this two-round panel data set. Without kind of background, actually, we have already said a lot that is there any link between production diversity and dietary diversity in different countries. We have so many presentations already, and we know that why we should study it. Because in the earlier times, as the earlier presenter already said, that maybe there is a link, but not so much research yet. So on that respect, let me start my presentation. The outline is as usual. In the introduction, we know that the world, particularly the developing country, we have made a lot of progress, but despite that, we have like about 800 million people are undernourished, and 2/3 of them live in the Asia-Pacific countries, including Bangladesh. And 2 billion people also suffer from micronutrient malnutrition, and nearly 800 million people are suffering from caloric deficiency. And we know that this malnutrition also causes for a lot of things, including diseases, then loss of productivity, and premature death, etc. So on the other hand, malnutrition is the result of low food intake, as well as low dietary diversity, and low quality of food. So already, as I said, research shows that there is maybe dietary diversity is kind of linked with the better nutrition as well as health. So if you know that there is a link between dietary diversity and household nutrition, better health, then as we know that food produced by the agriculture sector, then agriculture sector should be diversified. Otherwise, how we will get the diversified food? But if we see the literature, because of the last green revolution or modernization, commercialization, it's other way around. Because number of food crops is reducing, but we need to diversify. So in the meantime, a lot of research, as well as some programs like Heifer International, something like that, they are advocating for diversifying crop as it increases the dietary diversity, nutrition, as well as the environment as well. So like many other countries, Bangladesh is not kind of exception. Bangladesh agriculture is also kind of transforming, and they are diversifying towards kind of high value crops, as well as shifting from agriculture to non-agriculture sector. That sort of transformation is going on in Bangladesh. And some research shows that crop diversification is the desired strategy for agriculture growth in Bangladesh. Now, on that background, is there any link, between this diversification and diet diversity or nutrition? And if there is a link, but what are the other confounders, what are the other factors affect this relationship as well as the dietary diversity? Not so much research. Recently, there are a few research, like in Bangladesh, in Nepal, and some other countries. But all that research, to the best of our knowledge, is based on kind of cross-sectional data. And many of you know that it's difficult to control a lot of things in the cross-sectional setting than panel. So in that respect, we think that our study is kind of a bit exceptional than the other studies. Thus, we are using panel data that we can control this unobserved heterogeneity problem that affects the outcome as well as some of the independent variables. The data, as I said, this two-round panel comes from the pre-Bangladesh Integrated Household Survey, and is the nationally representative for the first time in Bangladesh. And the first round was collected in 2011 and 12, and second round in 2015. And it administered in the household level, including the intra-household level, and is representative as well as rural Bangladesh, as well as district level, divisional level, plus fit the future zone level. The sampling strategy was stratified random sampling in two stages. At first, the PSU, that means, then from the PSU, I randomly selected the household just two-stage sampling. And the sampling frame was from 2001 population census. As we know that in panel setting, that is common phenomenon is the attrition problem. But we should say we are lucky that in this data set, attrition is very, very low, just 1.26% per year, maybe because the duration of the gap was not so long. So to investigate this relationship between production diversity and data diversity, we have used the panel setting, like the following equations, where the dependent variable is the data diversity measured by different indicators. I will come in a minute. And the independent variable is kind of a lot of controls, including the production diversity and other control variables, including the time variant as well as time invariant variables. And the last two is individual time and time-specific effect, respectively. So as the dependent variable or the outcome variable is kind of count, so we assume that the distribution is not normal. It's a Poisson distribution, then we use the Poisson fixed effect model to estimate the following equations. We can estimate that equation like in the pooled OLS, pooled Poisson, as well as the random effect Poisson, but many of you know that both of the model have some disadvantage or some weakness, but that take care by the fixed effect model. That's why we use fixed effect Poisson regression. Here are some of the descriptive statistics of the dependent variable. You can see the data diversity measured by 12 food groups, as well as the healthy data diversity score measured by 9 food groups, and is based on 7 days recall data. And if we see the difference between 2 rounds, and this good news is that data diversity as well, is in different dimension, all are increasing, like first round to second round, it increases, except the household diversity and the part size food. Some of the key independent variables that I have used the earlier model. Here, the first one is the production diversity that measured by the number of crop species produced in the last year. Then food crop, the number of food crop produced. Then production diversity index is kind of Margalev richness index that's normally used in the biodiversity literature to measure the biodiversity richness index. We also adopt that, and one of my objectives is kind of who are diversifying towards fish or who are diversifying towards livestock, is there any effect on the data diversity or not? It's kind of dummy. The sample size is kind of 6,500. So the results at first, I was thinking to see is there any link between production and the data diversity just. Here, the production data diversity measured by different indicators, you can see. Household data diversity score, this is based on 12 food groups. It shows this positive association, but this is not linear. That means there is a non-linear effect, and that means if you increase the production diversity, that will not always leads to increase in data diversity. And all the indicators level, the results more or less the same. That means the message is that production diversity leads to the data diversity increasing, but up to certain level, not always, as there is a non-linear relations. Here, I tried in different ways, but all the regression results give more or less the similar results. Now, the next question we are going to ask, only the production diversity is increasing the data diversity, or are the other factors affecting this relationship as well as the data diversity score? Here, we include the market, access to market, that measured by the market distance from home to market. And it shows that is positive, negative. That means if you are far from the market, your data diversity is low. Then also, as I said, Bangladesh is moving towards kind of many of you know the Lewis two-sector kind of model that's shifting from agriculture to non-agriculture. This kind of transition phase, then we see off-farm income is also positively enhancing the diversity score. But the magnitude is still, low than the production diversity. Then we have included other indicators like commercialization, that measured by the share of produce sold to the market. And it also shows that commercialization have positively affected diversity, but still the magnitude is lower than the production diversity. Then again, a lot of research shows, we have already heard from the panel that gender is very important, and the research also shows. Then I have included some gender variables, like female earning status is dummy variable, whether the main female of the household is earning or not. It shows that there is a positive relation, even the magnitude of the coefficient is higher than the production diversity. Then the livestock and fish, is there any effect on production diversity? But unfortunately, it shows that because fish who are doing fish, their diversity is low than non-fish household. But on the other hand, livestock is positively affecting the increasing diversity. Maybe because the sample size in the fish was very low, actually, 1,000 something. Maybe that could be the reason. Then we have also included some other socioeconomic variables that may affect the diversity score, like age of the household, you can see in the below. Then sex of the household head, education, household size, farm size square. And you can see that age sometimes is a proxy of experience. It's also positive. Then education is very important. This is a positive and significant. Then household size. So then I tried the same calculation. I have used other index like Margalef index, richness index that also measured the production diversity, but the results is the same. That means production diversity increasing diversity, but other factors are also important. So the conclusions is that higher farm production diversity is good and positively associated with the diversity, but it's not always, it's not that you increase, always it will increase your diversity. So it is not sufficient or not always the kind of best strategy to improve household nutrition. So the policy should focus, of course, increasing farm diversification as well as along with that, like access to market, maybe like improving the infrastructure or income diversification towards off-farm income as well as women empowerment. Thank you very much.